Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, CesarRespino. Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, CesarRespino, and you can find me at www.CesarRespino.com. And today I have a special guest. Her name is Caitlin. Hey, Caitlin, how are you?
Hi, Caesar. Thanks for having me.
Good. Awesome. So Caitlin, she is a nutrition coach, a mom of four, and a whole food plant-preferred recipe creator. She changed her life by choosing to live a healthier lifestyle, losing and maintain over 50 pounds weight loss. Inspired by her transformation, she now coaches parents to have a similar transformation with her sustainable weight loss and nutrition program that are both practical and family friendly. Wow. I definitely want to get to know more about that story. I mean, that's amazing. Losing 50 pounds. I'm barely trying to get 5-10 pounds off my weight, and doing that is phenomenal for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I really learned what the catalyst is for obtaining personal change. It's definitely not easy.
Yeah, no, definitely. So tell me more about you. Like, where are you originally from? What is your upbringing like? Give me a little bit more of your background.
So I was born in Washington, D.C., but I don't remember it.
Okay.
I moved all over the country when I was young, and I know you're probably going to ask me if my dad was in the military, because I
Yes.
hear that all the time. No,
Right.
he was not in the military. He was a consultant for Domino's Pizza, and I don't know, he just kept getting promoted
Wow.
or something. I don't know. We lived everywhere. I've lived in California, I've lived in Utah, lived in Georgia, but we settled in the Orlando area back when I was 10. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm a Florida girl.
Okay. Good. And so how was it for you? I mean, I can only imagine with moving, left and right, up to the age of 10. How was that for you? Like, was that like, it was kind of nice? Was it weird? Was it challenging? How did that go for you as your inner child?
I mean, it was challenging. I think at one point I kind of just shut people off.
Okay.
And that'll kind of play into my story, to
Yeah.
be honest. So I'll get there. I developed some social anxiety. I don't know per se that was for moving around, but I could make an educated guess that it probably was. I was always going to new schools, and I guess I just kind of gave up on connecting with people when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's how it affected me, though I did, in a positive light, I did get exposure to all different types of people.
Right.
So I know that not everyone are like Floridians, which I think is good news.
No, definitely. And that was one of my questions. Like, even going through that, I mean, a lot of times people have the idea of not being, they don't feel accepted, or they feel like they're not part of a tribe or a community or a school system or whatever the case may be. And as you mentioned, that can definitely have its pros and cons. And part of those cons could be that you feel like, well, you don't belong, and therefore you don't connect. And as you mentioned, perhaps did build that social anxiety or not as a result of that. How was that though, growing up, and when you finally settled in and you stayed in Florida? How was that growing up as a kid, or even some of the challenges in middle school, high school?
Well, I think Florida was hard to get, acquainted and into, being close to people around here. I think it's just school was a lot bigger. I remember I lived in Georgia before, and I was like Miss Popular in Georgia, but when I moved to Florida, I really struggled to make friends. And at one point, even I remember eating lunch in like the gym locker room just to hide from people. I mean, I also struggled because my sister was notoriously what is the way to put it? She made a lot of people angry, and it kind of tapered down to me in high school. So
Yeah.
I dealt with a lot of teasing as well.
Oh wow. So
So
kind
that
of like
didn't help with my social anxiety.
right, definitely right. So some of that kind of bullying and things to that nature that you see, I guess in school, and you see that a lot. I mean, and I was talking to somebody else that I had on the show, and one thing that I didn't realize is this particular person was talking about not just necessarily the bullying that took place in school, the bullying that takes now as an adult, right? And sometimes we see that through uh, different forms, whether it's at the workplace, it could be even friends, just kind of hanging out, and a lot of times it kind of dives into well, you're ugly, you're fat, you're this, you're that, and all of that is at the end of the day it seems like a bullying aspect of that, right? So
Mhm.
so tell me your story, right? I mean, you went through this. You One of the biggest challenges you had to overcome was really getting back into shape after being a mom, and kind of getting, or
Mhm.
not necessarily your shape, your health, right? After being a single mom, right? A single parent. Tell me more about that, and how did that all evolve?
Yeah. So I mean, you got me thinking about high school a little bit. So maybe
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
definitely.
back up even farther than I usually do. And
Yeah.
um, I had terrible social anxiety in high school. Um, and it was weird because I would kind of go back and forth. And I am diagnosed with a mood disorder. So this kind of,
Mm,
it does make a little bit of sense. But, I went from, I was secretary of class and I was a cheerleader to, I was wearing all black and I was
mm,
hiding to eat lunch away from people. And this part's really sad, but it does speak to the way a lot of women are. I had such poor self-esteem that I remember going into the bathroom between classes just to remind myself that I'm beautiful.
yeah.
Like I'm beautiful. Doesn't matter what other people think. But I wasn't overweight in high school, but I certainly still had really bad self-esteem, and I had anxiety problems. I ended up quitting high school actually, and but I did go dual enroll in college while finishing a different way, and I ended up going to school for um, digital media to learn how to do web development. Um, I went into that knowing that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's always been my dream. But I did end up working for another company
Mm,
for a while. And I actually did just make the dive recently from user experience development in cybersecurity to nutrition coaching. And I owe that to the transformation. And so I'll tell you how that happened. Um, I did get pregnant at 21. I was not married. I was living on the other side of town by myself at the time. I had just quit another job. I was always quitting jobs. I was doing something a little risque for money at the time. I'm not gonna
mm-hmm,
go into that, but I think it does play into the dark place that I was in for a while.
mm-hmm,
Um, uh, I ended up leaving my son's father when I was pregnant. Um, Lived with my mom for a while. I went up and down in my weight, and my mental issues, those were up and down as well. Um, but I did end up dating somebody, and we talked about getting married. Um, but he and I got a little too involved in some different type of recreational
mm-hmm,
stuff, and I let go of. I already had poor self esteem, but I pretty much let go of myself.
mm,
I was getting high and eating cheeseburgers in the middle of the night often. My weight ended up skyrocketing. I was about 186, I think, at my highest. And I kind of started to know I needed to get myself under control, but I was struggling to get my boyfriend of the time under control as well. He was blowing all our money on recreational stuff. So I ended up I knew I had to do the best thing for my son, and I quit the stuff I was doing. And then shortly thereafter, I broke it off with my boyfriend at the time. And that was really hard. It sucks to be a single parent, especially one that doesn't have it all together. And when I realized I really had to make a change was when I was a single parent again, and I couldn't get out of bed to get my son to school in the morning. I was sleeping like 13 hours a day. I was terrified to talk on the phone with anybody. I knew that was a problem. So yeah, I've made some progress here. I'm on the phone right now.
Right. But Zoom.
In addition to that, like, you know, I had just gone through a breakup, and let's be honest, one of those core reasons that you might get motivated to become healthier might be feeling unlovable. You know, some people call it the breakup diet. You know, you know, so I really strongly believe that there's usually a very emotional core reason that you decide to make a massive change.
Right.
And so at that time, I connected with a weight loss center. And honestly, I was skeptical because the receptionists were heavy, and I kind of hope they don't listen to this and get offended. But
right. Yeah. I hear you.
They were really, yeah. So I knew I knew I had to change my lifestyle to keep it off. And I think that's the missing piece for a lot of people. Is you can't just get motivated for a couple months and lose some pounds and expect it to keep it off.
You know what? And you have there's two points that you made there that are actually very, very critical. Number one is, like, again, after going through so much with being a single parent, dating, doing that, recreational, whatever, drugs, whatever you want to call it, all that stuff, and going through all of that, some people will say, yeah, that will be a motivation to make a change. Or sometimes people tend to stay down, and they don't make the change. They actually get deeper in the hole. And so I guess, and you kind of talked about it, yet what led to saying, you know what, I have to go right versus going left. I have to make that change, right? To impact my life, my kids' life. What was that, maybe that aha moment, or that turning point, or that little thing that say, you know what, yeah, you got to make a change, or you're going to be going down their own rabbit hole?
Man, that one's hard. I think, I've always loved my son, and I didn't want to be a terrible mom deep down, like, and it truly does feel like you've dug yourself in a hole and you're scratching your way out. That's how I describe being overweight. That's how I describe depression, because I've been there too. But I mean, I guess I felt like my son wasn't going to get what he needed if I didn't make a change. And I didn't know if I'd ever find true love, unless true love with somebody that, was a responsible, good human being, until I became that responsible, good human being. And it's truth for sure. I got a good one.
Right. And it goes back to that, is like, whether it's primarily in relationships, really it's in anything though, right? If you're expecting somebody to be in such a way with you, you have to make sure that you're being that to yourself first, right? So you got to love yourself first before you can expect somebody to love you. You got to be able to
Absolutely.
do all these different things, and a lot of that is, it comes within, right? It's also that the idea of, if you want to change your life, you have to start looking at, well, the habits that you have, the people that you hang around with, all of those things, because once you start changing those dynamics, you're going to start
Hmm.
attracting those dynamics, right? So if you're hanging around with a bunch of people that are just drinking and partying and doing drugs every week, then that's what you're
Hmm.
attracting to. The minute you stop and create that pattern interrupt, those people don't even want to be around you, because they lost interest in you. They feel like you're not
Yeah.
fun anymore, per se, right? It's just not really that
Yeah.
you're fun. You're making a bigger impact in your own life, right? So that's a very good point there.
A
Yeah.
different kind of fun.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you're 1,000% correct though. And I don't have any of those friends anymore. Now I hang out with runners. It's a totally different kind of fun. I think the last thing we did was like an 80s run or wearing 80s clothes.
Yeah, right.
Definitely a 360 as
Yeah,
far as a means of having fun
right,
from where
right.
I was.
No, that's good.
So,
And I want to dive in a little bit, and maybe you can give me because again, a lot of people, the people that are listening to this and are watching this, again, they're going through different things. And we talked about either, in your case, being a single mom, losing yourself to your health. The one thing you talked about is depression. And I think that's even now with what has been going on the last year or so, there's a lot of that, going on based on just the dynamics of what's happening throughout the world.
mhm.
What got you into the depressed mode? What got you out of it too? Because I think that's more important than anything, right? Is understand how you got in there. Yet more important, how did you come out? How did you come out of that?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been in bouts of depression several times in my life, actually. Um, and I mean, a lot of that could be a little bit of my mood disorder too, but there's
Mm,
usually some sort of catalyst, like I I can't handle what's going on in my life right now, and I definitely had another bout of depression right before COVID, and
mm.
COVID definitely didn't
Did it help?
didn't help.
Right.
Um, and I mean, when you're in a situation like that and you're making jokes about suicide, or it's not a joke, but
Right.
you're you're starting to talk a little crazy, like I know I was at that. I mean, that's unfortunate. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately because I'm in nutrition, but
Hmm.
unfortunately, um, medication does help you get out of that. I do think it's a band-aid though. It's not gonna
Right.
keep you healthy in the long term. It will help you pull yourself out of that hole, that metaphorical hole that I was talking about. Um, but I know now I try to keep my diet as clean as I can with whole foods, because I mean your brain is greedy when it comes to nutrition,
Mm.
and I like to try to keep myself in as best shape as I can to avoid falling in that hole again, which
Right.
unfortunately can happen from time to time. So,
Yeah, and you
uh,
mentioned something that's actually so true, is that a lot of the things that we do, it's a band-aid, and then we believe, or unconsciously or subconsciously believe that that's actually the fix to that challenge or that problem. In reality, it's not. It's just a band-aid. And then so we get so addicted to those drugs, or we get so addicted to a particular pattern that was only meant to help you as a band-aid, so you can step out of that and now go to the right path, or do something different. And we started relying on those things, which again can definitely end up creating a more hurt down the line, right? And I see that all the time, and in terms of that, I think, yeah, use it as a band-aid to help you maybe get a little bit more mental stable in that aspect, or think things more clear. Then start
mhm.
shifting the energy or your habits or things to really create an impact, and then you're attacking the root of the problem versus just the
Yeah.
surface of the problem.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, there's depression's multifaceted. You got to take care of yourself as far as nutrition. You got to try to get some exercise. Connection is immensely important. Having friends and feeling like you're contributing to society. So, I've done some fundraising in the past to help keep me motivated with my running and my nutrition, but to also feel like I was contributing, because I noticed that alleviated my depression. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you want to try to tackle to avoid depression, but also to help get yourself out of it and to avoid getting addicted to just taking Prozac, which your body gets used to, and you probably won't have the same effect within a long duration anyways. So
right, boom, there you go, there you have, there's three things that if you're kind of going through a little bit of depression or you're feeling down, I love that. Connection, connect with the right kind of people too, obviously not just anybody, or connect with the right kind of people. Exercise, and that's one thing that I started doing in my life. Every day I make it a point to go out for at least 45 minutes, if not an hour and a half per day, to just go out into the nature, either walk or run or do cycling. Is part of my daily routine now. Clears my mind. And then the food intake, which is awesome. And not just the food, also what you're drinking, right? So let's talk about your nutrition program. How, you obviously went to get some help and you kind of got into that. And then I'm assuming that was it started going pretty good. And then that led to, let me just start my own company or do something to that. So walk me through that.
Yeah. I had such a personal transformation inside and out. And with that, like I said, I did some fundraising and I noticed how good I felt helping other people. And so I kind of put two and two together. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So that is one part of it. I mean, obviously I'd love to just go help everybody,
right,
as part of a charity or something, which that'd be great, but you got to make money too. But I threw myself off track there. What was? Can you tell me what the question was?
No, yeah. So you said you were doing fundraising. You love helping people, and you were kind of walking through that, and you saw how you enjoy helping people.
Yeah. So and it took a while to kind of educate myself enough to understand what the steps would be to help somebody else go through that transformation as well. But I see so many people out there that really need that help. They might not all realize they need it yet, but for those who realize that they need some help, I'm hoping I can be that person to help them, because like I've said, I understand what it feels like to be in that hole, and it's hard to dig yourself out alone.
Right.
And I think the world really needs more nutrition and health coaches, because your doctor can tell you need to eat this or that, but to really have somebody there to guide you and support you and understand what you're going through, I think is important. And I get a lot of self-satisfaction from that.
Right. So part of the things that you do, and as part of your profession here is, and you said one thing is like helping other people, and it reminds me of Zig Ziglar. He said, if you give enough people what they want, you're gonna get everything that you want, right? And so it comes down to that, being at service, helping out, doing a lot of that. So part of the things that you do, so you create a customized weight loss plan for the people that come to you and ask for your assistance, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do one-on-one coaching. However, the program that I've just gotten set up for people is a small group program, though it is customized as well. So what you would do is you do an intake with me that takes all of your medical history and what your goals are, the way you like to eat. That's one thing that I love about my program is, I mean, you could be somebody who likes to eat everything. We have balanced plans. Or you can be fully plant-based. I can generate different types of plans based on what you like. And if you're allergic to anything, I can leave that out as well. So you get started with a custom quick start plan, but then I have everybody in that small group go through the same program, which is, it's basically implementing some healthy habits that are going to help you be successful and maintain your results for a lifetime. And we tackle one small thing at a time, because, a lot of people, they're gung ho and they're like, I'm going to do this. And they hit it really hard for a month, but they crash and burn, because you really need to implement small actions at a time to establish these healthy habits. And that's kind of how the program works. It's very deep health. It's not just about what you put in your body, but it's about, changing your environment and your social connections and your stress level and your sleep and all of it, because it's all important.
Right. Yeah.
And that's basically what the program does. I do offer one-on-one coaching as well. And I prefer to send people through that program first to get a good baseline, and then we can kind of assess where your gaps are. But I also can do one-on-one coaching right off the bat as well. And like I said, that's what I would do an assessment on you, see where you might have some gaps and some, healthy habits that we can reinforce a little better. And then we kind of go from there, see how I can help you with figuring out putting healthy meals on the table. I'm actually like I said, I do a lot of cooking too.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that I absolutely hated cooking prior to losing weight. Like I burned everything. If there was a cooking opportunity like Thanksgiving, I'd go hide.
Yeah. Wow.
I wasn't cooking, but I knew when I was losing weight, I'm like, I got to learn how to cook. There's no way to avoid this.
Right.
So that's something I can help people with as well.
Yeah. How long is the program? Is there a time limit in terms of how long you start seeing some of the results, or for you to be able to have the assessment and say, okay, you know what, here's maybe the next step, right? And I know it might be different for each one that's taking it. I don't know if there's like a time on that, and before people start seeing some of the changes or the positive results that they're looking.
Well, I mean, if you implement the quick start that I do with you, you'll start losing weight right away.
Okay.
But so the habits are what reinforce long-term success. So I actually do offer, I just started offering this. If you're just sticking your toe in the water and you're not really sure about signing up for my full program, I am offering a custom quick start as well as 30 minutes of one-on-one coaching for $45.
Okay.
And that's really awesome. I still get your intake and get all your medical information. I'll take that into account before we do some coaching, so I can help coach you through those obstacles, or at least get you started. And then I figure out, what your goals are, like where you're at now, where you want to be. And I do generate that quick start for you. And it's basically an eating plan. And what I love about it is that we don't count calories. We use our hand to estimate everything. So you can take this with you if you're going to a restaurant, for example. Your hand's with you all the time. And it's like protein is your palm, thumb is your fat, cupped hand is your carbs, and a fist are the veggies. And depending on you and your goals, it'll vary how much of that you have for each meal. And you'll be given a list of foods that what we call eat more foods, because we operate it off a continuum. If you're gonna have ice cream one night, it's not like, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
We have a eat less of this and an eat more of this kind of continuum. And the quick start will help you get started with that. It'll give you a grocery list and everything.
Man, that sounds great. I just feel like I'm gonna go starving. I love to eat. That's probably my challenge, and I'm sure that's the challenge of many people, right? That they love to eat and just kind of intake just about anything. So that's that can be challenging to handle.
I'm also a foodie. I do eat.
Yeah.
I eat a lot. I'm very educated as far as what to put in my body, and I'm not perfect. Like I had some crappy pizza last Friday, and I felt terrible afterwards inside. I know what's not good for my body, and I'm not perfect, but I live a pretty healthy lifestyle, and I know what foods I can sit down on the couch and munch on and not feel guilty.
No, that's good.
At night I catch up on my eating with vegetables. That's
right.
That's my sitting in front of the TV snack.
So how do you? I'm curious to know, like, how do you deal with 4 kids and balancing all of that stuff, or what do you even cook for them? Like, do you also have them under this kind of healthy, eating habits, or because obviously, depending on their ages, right? They're probably like to eat the junk food. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I try to, more than anything, lead by example. Obviously I do control what the kids eat to some degree, but I'm not going to stop them from having a snack or whatever, given that they ate their food, their dinner, and their vegetables or something, you know. I have 4 kids. I actually have them half the time. My fiance and I both, you know, we're both separated and have kids from our prior relationships, and we've managed to get them on the same schedule. So that's pretty awesome. That helps me manage. When they're gone, I kind of get a little bit of a breather, but we have a lot of quick go-to meals. And I actually do have some of those on my blog. If you were to look up last minute meals, I've got a lot of them that I do there, but stir fries are something that I do often. You can either use the rest of the vegetables that are about to go bad, doesn't matter what it is, or I've also bought frozen Asian mixed vegetables, and we'll do shrimp or tofu or chicken with that. Spaghetti can be healthy if you choose the right ingredients. I like to use a bean pasta sometimes, or a whole wheat pasta. Try to get a lower sugar tomato sauce. Use a lean ground turkey instead of beef. Make sure you put in as much vegetables as you can sneak into your children's mouths. And you know, we do heavily promote them finishing their vegetables, but we do understand that kids have their they like to be a rebel to some sort of ingredient. Everybody has their own, you know. Our 5-year-old's like, I do not eat mushrooms, you know, and our 8-year-old doesn't eat strawberries, which is the weirdest thing in the world to me. But they've got, that's them trying to establish their own independence. So
wow, that's awesome.
You know, you got to keep introducing it in a different way, and if you are a good role model and you eat vegetables, your kids they'll follow suit eventually.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love that. So, Kaylin, if people wanted to connect with you, learn more about your program, where can they find you?
Okay, so for the program specifically, my website's transcendweightloss.com. However, if you want to check out more about me and my cooking, I've got a lot of healthy living content. It also links to my programs. You can go to cleancookingcaitlin.com. I'm also on Instagram at cleancookingcaitlin. YouTube right now. It's not. It's got some growth to happen, but there's lots of videos. If you like videos, you can also look up Clean Cooking Caitlin on YouTube.
Awesome.
And you can reach me on both of those websites, but you can also shoot me an email at caitlin@caitlincooking.com.
Awesome. Well, definitely, we'll have all that information on the comments too, so they can definitely connect with you. One thing that you have here, which I think is pretty neat, and maybe you can give me a little bit more of that, or go more deep into that. It says, a strong core why is the most important driver for your success in any endeavor. Motivation for what it takes for personal transformation will not survive without it. Can you elaborate more on that? Because I think that's a very powerful message when you have that strong core of why.
If you don't have a really strong, compelling reason, a reason that's going to make you tear up in the eyes when you think about it, or, you know, just move you in some way, I mean, if it's not easy to do, your brain's going to talk you out of it. I don't feel great today. I should probably be doing this instead. We always have all these things commanding our attention constantly. And I don't think that's just me as a parent with 4 kids and a business, although sometimes I don't know how I get anything done. You know, there's information, people are throwing information at us constantly. And if you can't really figure out what it is that moves you and makes you want to get out of bed in the morning, it's hard to prioritize that thing. So if it's health and fitness, if you can't determine what that reason is, and it's just like, I just want to look sexy in these pants, that's not going to work out. Like you're going to talk yourself out of going to the gym. You're going to talk, you know, you're going to tell yourself, oh, well, I'm being selfish leaving the house because my kids want my attention. for example,
Right.
So, I mean, and I lose motivation sometimes, and I go looking for that again. I wonder, what is it? What is my core why? And right now it's, my mission statement, if you will, is I want to inspire others to live a healthy lifestyle like I have, because it
Mhm.
has changed my life so much, and I want to help other people transform as well.
Yeah, and you had a huge transformation. I mean, that's definitely very, very huge. My last question for you is: you obviously have gone through a lot of different things, and you have find ways to really overcome many of your obstacles. So, for those people that are listening to us and are watching us, if they are going through any sort of challenge right now, whatever that might be, what is one or a few things they can do to start overcoming that challenge?
Um, Man, trying to think. I'm trying to think of an example so I can um, answer that effectively. Um, I mean, I try to analyze. You got to figure out what the problem is, where you want to go with it, and then what are the skills and practices that you need to master to get to that. And then you can break that down further into actions that you can take daily. Am I answering that question correctly?
Yeah, yeah,
Do
no, there's
Okay,
no right or
okay.
there's no right or wrong answer. I like the different steps. I'm actually taking notes. That's actually pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, people get so overwhelmed with the journey ahead of them.
Hmm.
Um, you got to identify what you got to break it down. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, exactly.
um, you're not going to lose 50 pounds in a week and be able to maintain it. Anything good is going to take hard work and dedication. And um, like I said, you just got to break it down to small actions. Small actions daily or consistently build up to really massive changes.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. No, that's awesome. Wow, definitely, I like that, and it's very simply put. Yet at the end of the day, it's a good way to look at things, anything that we're going through, and just to kind of summarize, you analyze it. What is the problem? Where do you want to go? And what are the things you have to do to make that happen? And break it down into small actions. And so there you have it. That's very very good advice there. So thank you so much for that. Before I let you go, anything else you want to share with us?
I'm not sure when you're airing this. I do have another program starting next week,
Okay.
for my weight loss program. Though I am considering making that an ongoing thing, but right now it's been starting once a month.
Cool.
So if this is airing somehow before next week,
Yeah.
it's getting started. I'm starting next week, but you can get started anytime you want. As soon as you sign up, I have you do your intake. Within a couple days, I send you your quick start.
Yeah.
And whether the program itself, where we establish those healthy habits, is starting or not, you can still get started and start losing weight as soon as you sign up. So,
Awesome. Awesome.
um,
Awesome. Cool. Well, Caitlin, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate all of the information you share with us, and thank you again for being on the show.
yeah, thanks, Caesar. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Definitely, definitely. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Please make sure you check out Caitlin, connect with her, and also stay tuned for the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. And again, share this because somebody needs to hear this message. See you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Hi, I'm CesarRespino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.CesarRespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. and know you truly can overcome anything.